And for us to get better, we're going to have to go through a lot of losses. Just like that professional diver. Just like those boxers who've been hit by a punch that they didn't see. And we get punched a lot. But the nice thing is, not like the divers and not like the boxers, we actually don't get injured. This is really good. Maybe a little bit of a loss of confidence and a little loss of egos. But I'd like to show you a game I played. I was white, and I was very nervous. It was one of the first games I ever played in a Scholastic's tournament, okay? And I knew I was up against a guy who was fearsome. So I had to come up with a plan. And it better be a good one, because this guy's real hell on wheels, you know? So here it comes. You ready? This is the birth of an international Grandmaster superstar you're about to see her. And if you can see any genius, you are a genius, because this is awful. So I started to think, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my opponent's move. Whatever move my opponents make, I'm going to copy it, right? And then when he makes a mistake, I'll jump on him, you know, because he will do. But I had a problem. I had to make the first move. Like, how can I copy my opponent if I got to make the first move? So I got to come up with a plan that's really deep, conceptual, insightful, clever, brilliant, genius. I got a move that doesn't injure my position and allows me to copy my opponent. I played D3. I was white, once again. I played D3, waiting. I was so happy. Boy, this kid who I was playing, he may have been a monster, but he played exactly the move I wanted him to play, because then I could copy him. Yes! Yes! Boy, I mean, I really knew what was happening now. You know, now my confidence soared at this moment. Okay? And he played him the remarkable move. He pushed his pawn. Wow. I had an awareness. It may have been small. I had an awareness I could take that pawn, but that would have completely defeated my genius, insightful idea of copying my opponent. Never doubt. Never doubt. It's up to you, young man. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm ready for you. He played another remarkable move. What is that? Bishop G4. He attacks my queen. Well, if I had any competence whatsoever, I would simply have captured his bishop. But I didn't think the moment was quite right. Okay? I mean, you know, I got to give him a little bit more rope to hang himself, right? So, bishop to G5. I mean, move for move. Like, boy, I really felt like I didn't know what was coming next, but I thought this was going to be wild. And this, of course, is a terrible move. I mean, my opponent, without hesitation, should take my bishop with his queen. I may have hesitated, but I would probably end up losing my queen after taking his bishop. But he played the most remarkable move ever in my tournament game history. He played bishop b4 checkmate. Okay? Like checkmate. I was like, oh man, that's wild. Checkmate. Oh, that was just... He checkmated me a moment before I would have checkmated him. So he raises his hands and he pulls over an adult like Ben over there and he says, I checkmated. And the adult says to my opponent, well, why is it checkmate? And my opponent happily explains that this bishop attacks the king, while this bishop takes away that square, it takes away that square, the king can't move, it's checkmate. Yes, says the adult, that's right, we shake hands. Never mind the fact that I can block the bishop with this pawn, I can block the bishop with this knight, I could block it with this knight. I could even bring this bishop back, or I could even move my queen. Well, so this is the birth of an international grandmaster superstar. You can see any talent on the white player, you're a genius. This guy's a complete idiot. He even accepted that he was checkmated when he wasn't. Okay. So I like to say that I have made every mistake conceivable in chess, and most often I make the same mistake at least twice. Not once, but twice. Why twice? Well, if you only make it one time, how can you be absolutely certain it was a mistake? You need to make it twice to say, yeah, that really, really is a bad idea. I'm not going to do it anymore. Okay? So I made a lot of mistakes, and I can tell you that copying your opponent is a really, really bad idea. Okay? Another attempt by me to copy my opponent, I was black in this case. Okay? Let me just point out this one. This was really cool. And I'm still very strongly under the influence of like my experienced opponents. They'll show me the way. I'll repeat whatever it is that they did. My opponent played e4, I play e5. Okay, even Steven, your turn. They would play knight f3. Wow, okay, cool. He brings out his knight, I got to bring out my knight. My opponent would take my pawn. By the way, unbeknownst to me, I'm playing what is called the Petrov defense, or even the Russian defense. It has two names. In the West, the Petrov defense is what we call it. In the East, in Russia, it's called the Russian defense. So I'm playing the Russian defense. I didn't know it. I take his pawn. Now, at this point, I'm going to tell you, I was a lot better player than I was in the game before, and my opponent played queen e2, and I went, uh-oh, I see this one coming. I got this one under control. I want to play queen e7, and I did, but I realized that after queen e7, queen takes my knight, I can't take his knight, I'll lose my queen. Oh, didn't want that. No way. So I moved back my knight. See how much better I had become? Right? I'd moved back my knight so that he couldn't take my knight, and I didn't fall for getting my queen trapped. Now my opponent played a shocking move. Could anybody tell me what my opponent did? Young lady? Knight c6. Yeah. Knight c6. Check. Remember a moment ago I was trying to avoid losing my queen? And I lost my queen. It was like, man, that was really terrible. I blocked the check with my queen. He took the queen and lost another one. Another game down the drain. And so what I had to do literally was go through a progression of losses. And I started knowing that I was getting better, not so much because I was losing, I was always losing, but it was taking my opponents a little bit longer to defeat me. Instead of losing in 4, 5, 6 moves like this. I mean, I'm lost now. He might take 20 moves or something for him to win, but he would win. But I was forcing my opponents to play longer games, and they had to play better and better. You lose your queen like this twice, you stop doing it. Okay? Here was another one. This was a cool one. This game happened right next to me. My best friend, his name was David Leo Stefrak, and Leo was playing right next to me, and Leo was black, and his opponent opened up with what was called the Queen's Pawn opening, and Leo, he liked a gambit called the Budapest Gambit. How many of you know this gambit, the Budapest Gambit? Okay, well, like its namesake, Budapest, or Budapest, is the capital city of Hungary, and in Budapest, it seemed like this became a popular defense amongst the locals, and so it bears the name of Budapest. So this pawn is captured, the knight moves here. Leo's opponent played here, here, here. All of these are absolutely standard moves in the Budapest. In this position, white actually has a choice. Knight d2, the move that Leo's opponent played, is fine. Knight c3 is considered a better attempt, a more aggressive attempt by white to gain an advantage. So with the move knight d2, we add up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like white's doing fine in the development count. Leo played queen e7, and this was an excellent move by Leo. He simply wants to recapture his pawn and get back material equality. Leo's opponent, he started thinking, and he decided that his best move was to attack Leo's bishop. He played a3, and I was shocked. I was really shocked because I was watching the game and I wanted my buddy Leo to win. I didn't want to see him lose and get, then I have to deal with a crying guy, right? So I wanted Leo to move his bishop and to capture this knight and then to recapture the pawn so that he would be in safety and he wouldn't be down any material. Leo shocked me. It was like he took this pawn and I was thinking, dude, didn't you see that your opponent just attacked your bishop? How could you be blind? Right? Like, how could you be blind? I mean, you did all understand that that move, a3, attacked the bishop, right? You saw that. You saw that, right? That the bishop, yeah. And I thought, so his opponent captured the bishop. And I was like, oh, man, how could you allow that? You know, you just blundered a piece. And Leo made a devastating move. Are you all familiar with this move? Do you, Michael? What? You know? Do you ladies know the move? What's the move? What's the move? Yeah. Whoa. Knight d3 checkmate. I mean, here I thought Leo had just lost a bishop for absolutely zilch. And what a checkmate that is. Okay, keep in mind that for me, the way I won games, it was very simple. I had to wipe out all my opponent's army, and then whatever I had left, then I hope I could checkmate with that. But the idea that you could checkmate in how many moves was this? This wasn't that many moves. 1 for black, 2 for black, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 moves. Checkmate. I knew the fool's mate, and I knew the stupid mate when he did stupid things. I knew the stupid mate, but I didn't know this kind of pattern. And it's really a charming one. And the amazing thing about this pattern is it comes up time and time. It recurs often. If you don't believe me, look at this example. E4, oops, E4, go up, yeah, E4, C6. New variation, D4, D5, knight C3, pawn takes, knight here, queen here. So, in this moment, when black plays this move, what he wants to do is bring his knight here and force a trade. But he doesn't want to have a double pawn. So black plays knight d7. White plays queen e2, laying an ambush. Okay, very simple ambush. Maybe it's easier when we see it from white's point of view. And white is hoping that black follows through with his plan so he can do the same knight smothered checkmate move, right? And so these types of smothered checkmates occur very, very often in a wide range of positions. One other position, I'm going to just create this. So this is a composition, obviously, but it happens so many times in openings. This is one of those I probably didn't fall for once or twice or 3 times or 4 times. I really had to be sure about this one. So I probably was victimized 5 times by this one. I mean, because sometimes I forgot too, right? I mean, okay, so here's the point. Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I took a pawn. So we get a position like this, and I was really greedy. Oh, I loved my queen. My queen was the bully. And I always strongly felt if I could get my queen, completely the worst idea in chess, by the way, is to develop your queen early. I was always thinking if I could get my queen out, I could do great things. So this was one of the great things that I could do, was win a pawn. So I was like just overjoyed to have a position like this as black. Okay? And I fell for this, like I said, not once, twice. I'm talking like 5 times. Do you know the checkmate for white that white can come up with here? This is an oldie but a goodie. Yes, young lady. Bishop c3 is an excellent move. It's an excellent move because it threatens queen d8 checkmate. It attacks the queen. So probably this is like the best black can do is take the bishop, and he's lost. So bishop c3 is an excellent move. And under normal circumstances, that would be the best move. It just so happens there's one dirty move. I think you had it. What do you see? Yeah, baby. Like, okay. When this one was first played against me, like, I mean, this is like a cold shower. Like, ruh-roh. I mean, the queen isn't even protected. It's like she didn't even capture nothing. This isn't a trade. This is somebody just blundering their queen. So I would take the queen. Yeah? Okay. And now, instantly the computer showed you the power of the double check. Double checks simply mean you can't block. You can block the rook, but you can't block the bishop at the same time. You can block the bishop. Your king has to move. And in this position, you have absolutely no choice but king here and then comes the checkmate. Wow, how cool is that? And of course, the idea and principal idea in so many openings is you're starting chess, you're learning, and you know, your opponent's going to know a lot of patterns in chess that you don't know, so it's going to take you a lot of falls before you learn to ride. And one of the things about the chessboard at the starting position that you really have to look at is you look at this starting position and you say, okay, you're the general of your army. So where are you going to focus your attack? Where are you going to bring your pieces? Well, it would be really ridiculous for you to focus your army on this pawn on d7 or this pawn on e7. Why? Well, because those two pawns are the strongest defenses in Black's camp. This pawn on d7 is protected by the king, the queen, the bishop, and the knight. 4 protections. This pawn, the king, the queen, the bishop, and that knight, 4 protections. Every other pawn on the board has a single protector. So you're much better off targeting any of those other pawns besides these two. Now, it turns out that if you were to target this pawn on a7, let's say with your opening moves, you came out with the brilliant idea, okay, new variation, of going after your opponent's a7 pawn. Oops, pardon me. I'm just putting some moves on the board for a moment. g6. So, bishop g7. Bishop takes a7. Yippee-yi-yay! Yippee! You won a pawn. You brought your forces, and boy, you sure did nab that pawn. Well, besides the fact that this was a disastrous idea, the knight could attack your queen and bishop, you literally won the wrong pawn. You won a pawn, but there was no reward at the end of that rainbow. Now, if you had been a little bit cleverer in your opening, you might have thought to yourself, d5, I'll do something else. New variation. Here, 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 here. Ah, this had a greater reward. Yes, baby, this time you won the pawn on c7, but at the end of the rainbow, there was a queen to be had. Here you've won brilliantly. Of course, Black should not have allowed this to happen, but we're not interested in that. What we're interested in is this idea of targeting certain pawns. And of course, it becomes instantly obvious that the f2 pawn and the f7 pawn is such a magnet for our pieces, because in both cases, this pawn is protected by the king, this pawn is protected only by the king, and if we could win that pawn, well, we could win the game in checkmate. So one of my favorite patterns, I'm sure you all know this, this is called the Frome's Gambit, by the way. White does a terrible thing, especially when starting. He advances the pawn that is simply the most vulnerable pawn. He plays f4 and instantly exposes his king to danger. Black does this, pawn takes, d6, pawn takes, bishop takes. So Black sacrificed a pawn. And the first time this pattern was shown to me, I was like really gleeful, right? Wow, this is really cool. Okay. White does not understand the threat and plays knight c3. Misses completely the whole point. So the whole point is this pawn on f2 is key, critical in fact, to the defense protection of White's king. Black jumps all over this. Check. Okay? g3. queen takes. Now, some of you may object and say, well, why didn't you capture with the bishop and then you would have had a queen? Well, aesthetically, it's nicer to checkmate with a bishop. Anybody can checkmate with a queen. The checkmating with the bishop, boy, that's really elegant and first class. So this checkmate really made a powerful impression on me. I never ever got anybody into this particular, but I knew the Gambit. All of these patterns that I'm showing you, guess what? I only learned about them through my experience of losing them. And one of the ways I had to teach myself chess, and I strongly advise it to everybody, is to keep a chess scrapbook. Let's say somebody gives you a puzzle and says, can you checkmate the king in 3 moves? And the solution is wild, something that really, really inspires you. Well, take that puzzle, put it in your chess scrapbook. I felt very strongly in my life that somebody said to me, you know, like, the number of moves in a chess game is like 10 to the 56th power or something like that. That's 10 with 56 zeros. I go, my gosh, my brain's too small. I could never imagine storing all of those moves in my brain. I had to find a shortcut. And the shortcut I found is what I just showed you. These patterns of smothered mates, these patterns of double check and checkmate. I would write I would write them in a notebook, my scrapbook, and I would keep them. My absolute favorite, my favorite checkmating combination is called Legal's Mate. How many of you know Legal's Mate? It's marvelous stuff. Oh, it's marvelous. And this was really, really inspiring. And it's a pity, I memorized this, obviously. Now this move, the Philidor defense, it's a little second-rate defense, but nothing terrible. Now don't ask me why, but to get to Legal's Mate, Black has to make an egregious error here. I mean, like, really blows it. He plays a turkey of a move. I mean, this is like a howler. How many of you know what a howler is? Howler? A howler is a move that's so bad that your cries of anguish can be heard from the next county. That's a howler. So Black plays this howler h6, and my teacher said, White plays knight takes e5. And I went, what? Are you crazy? You can't take that pawn. You'll lose the queen. Take your move back. I was being a generous person. I said, take your move back, Jeffrey. Jeffrey says, no, go ahead if you like. Go ahead and take my queen. Do you see the move for White? Young lady? What? Bravo. I mean, I knew about knight forks. In fact, I was pretty hellacious where those knight forks were concerned. I knew that when the knight came here, he would attack the queen and attack the rook, and I'd get the rook. Or when the knight would come to c7, it'd attack that king, and I'd get that rook. So I knew all about knight forks. So this move was a real surprise, because I expected my opponent to make a knight fork and to take on f7 with the knight. Jeffrey, not my opponent, but my chess teacher, chess coach. So I was looking, I said, well, where can I move my king? I can't move my king to d7. It's protected by the knight. My bishop's in the way, my queen's in the way. I can't take that bishop. I got to move king e7. So after I move king e7, what's White's move? I'm afraid, young man. Knight d5. Whoa! Checkmate in the middle of the board. Boy, I was so excited. I wrote that in my notebook. I memorized it. Now stop and think about this. You got chess moves 10 to the 56th power, and I memorized one of the sequences, and I never in my whole life got a chance to play it. Now, that's not just cruel and unfair. You know, here I am, a 12-year-old kid, just begging somebody to let me play this. Just please, somebody. Never even close. Like, nobody played the Philidor, nobody played the Howler, nobody let me sacrifice my queen. So there it is. I'll leave again with this message, this thought, that when you lose at chess, really what's happening is you're losing to a more experienced player who knows patterns better than you do. Really, that's what it comes down to. I may be more skilled, but where those skills come from is from a lifetime of losses. Don't worry about the losses. Worry about the patterns. Don't keep making the same mistakes and losing in the same way. Help yourself, help your memory by creating a scrapbook. In your scrapbook, make notes. Okay, this is an oldie, a goodie. It absolutely became my favorite, because nobody ever let me play Legal's Mate. This is called the Smothered Mate. And the first time this pattern was shown to me, what happened is I was so excited, I ran home to my mom. My mom was in the kitchen doing her dishes, doing the dishes, not her dishes, our dishes, the dishes. And I said, Mom, come on over, I got to show you this on the chessboard. And I showed her the pattern back and forth, and she goes, wow, that's great. Can I go back to the dishes? I was like, well, I mean, how come you're not as excited about what did I did? I mean, you know, well, what can I tell you? Some people, they just don't get it. Okay, so in this position, obviously black is winning tremendously on the material. He's got like a rook for a knight, so he's an exchange up, but he's got an extra rook. And there's issues on the back rank, so white's in deep, deep trouble, except he has this queen check. Queen d5 check. The king cannot go to f8 because of the simple checkmate. Thanks to the fact the knight supports the queen, black is checkmated. So black has to go to the corner. Okay, so this is where things got interesting. Knight check, king here, and here I thought the knight could move and it's just a repetition, right? That it's a draw, that black can't avoid perpetual check, and white should be very happy because after all he's a rook behind and an exchange behind. He should be happy to get out of dodge with a draw from a material behind. Do you all know this combination? I love this combination. Knight h6 double check. So cool, so cool. The king must go into the corner. Once again, if the king goes to f8, this is the same checkmate as before. The queen is supported, protected by the knight. The king has to go in the corner. Queen sacrifices herself. Queen g8 check. Rook takes, knight f7. I was charmed by this pattern. And this pattern I have probably played, and I'm not kidding, in tournament games 50 times. In blitz games, just fun games, probably closer to 300. So this pattern, now this is a useful pattern. That Legal's Mate, I'll kick that one right out of my scrapbook from now on. But this one is one you can really, really, really use. And it occurs in all kinds of positions. So when you're making your scrapbook, look out for those checkmating patterns especially as they come out of the openings, because once and again, when you lose, you're losing to people who are more experienced and they know more patterns than you do. So you can play catch up by, number one, playing more, reading, studying, and of course remembering. There aren't that many patterns as you may think. There's only about, I'd say 20, 30 checkmating patterns.